Hythloday, I think, video. Yeah, I don't know whether I'm going to bother with it too much. But there's two videos, okay? So first he did a video on consciousness, and then he did this follow-up video to Trick on the subject of the antinatalism asymmetry argument. So first off, the consciousness subject. I've done a lot of videos on consciousness. I don't think there's any point in repeating what my theories on how our consciousness functions. But I just don't think there's any. I don't think there's any rational way to associate language with an elevation of our sentient capacity, our capacity to feel. Language accelerates our capacity to see threats. It doesn't change our flight or fight response mechanism. I mean, the fact that we have glandular reactions to things is not augmented or changed. Well, augmented is the wrong word. Is not substantially changed by language. Language, like I said, allows us to see further. It allows us to make telescopes and see into the future and do all that kind of stuff. But it does not change the visceral animal. So if you're going to say that consciousness is intelligence, okay, you can do that. But I don't think that's anywhere near the common definition of the word consciousness. Consciousness is this idea of sensing a self, and I think lots of mammals are doing that. And I think lots of animals are rudimentarily sentient in that they have crude attraction and repulsion dynamics built into their sentient being, and they are moved by odors and other mechanisms of the environment in very visceral ways. They react intensely to circumstances through the creation of an emotional state that compels them to do a certain programming, to act out the attack program or the run program or whatever the program is, and they're doing it based on an emotional state. I would call that a form of consciousness. I'd certainly call it sentience. So I don't know where you're drawing these distinctions, but I think it's just kind of silly to associate language with some state of sentient capacity. Like I said, it's eyeglasses. Eyeglasses are a nice feature to have, but it's an augmentation of the sense organs. It really isn't changing the sensual nature. So I just think it's kind of wrong to say language makes us conscious, in my opinion. And you're just opening doors to all kinds of, weird conversations about, whether less intelligent people are therefore less conscious or something. I don't think it's a good place to go. I don't think it's a necessary place to go. I don't think it's a door you need to open. And I think the only reason why you opened it is because you are a bigot, frankly. An elitist bigot, and that certainly against animals, and you wish to degrade the substance of their sensual life, their conscious life, to degrade it so you can justify your bad habits, your enslavement, slaughter, torture, and abuse. That's all. You're just making excuses. The woman is dumb, so I can hit her. That's all you're just making rationalizations, and I'm calling bullshit on that bullshit. So anyway, to this argument. So this is just a convoluted video. No point in playing it. It just doesn't go anywhere. So this is some sort of trick crap that I'm not even bothering with because it's not my crap. And he's obliging Trick, I guess, to conform his crap to my crap or something like that. Look, my argument is really simple, okay? Harm is the bad, so we know that's the bad thing, okay? And not satisfying a non-existent desire is not a bad, okay? Harm, sticking a knife in somebody who can feel, is very different than not giving a cupcake to someone who is dead, okay? Not giving a cupcake to someone who is dead is not the same thing as sticking a knife in somebody who's alive. Okay, you can hurt things that are alive. You can't hurt things that don't exist. And that's a substantial and profoundly interesting fact of reality. Back to the Martian, Venetian, Plutonian example, none of these civilizations, the universe and even us, as enlightened human beings, are not substantially blighted by the absence of them eating cupcakes. The absence of their joy and happiness and skipping and tra-la-la does not in any way impugn or impact our lives in any substantially negative way. And it's just the truth of the circumstance. So this is all for entertainment purposes, this living thing. And we're paying a real hard price for it, which is 10 years in the nursing home, blah, 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 blah. Dying in the earthquake, Fukushima, washing your baby out of your hands, all kinds of horror. We're paying a huge price for frivolous entertainment. So I would use analogies like, well, anyway, he wants to somehow oblige me now to convert this into some randomized dice rolling game. Look, Hythloday, the point is, these are the two numbers you got to work with, okay? A dead dice that's a +1 and a living dice that's a 0. So you can roll those all day and you're never going to come up with a living dice with a +1 on it. It's just a fact. So you're done. The game's over, okay? You can't do it from this math. So there's just no point in obligating me to do that, or saying you need to do that, or you can't generate your positive, because there is no such thing. You have to first break it to fix it. I mean, I've made this argument enough times, but human beings are born into the world kind of miserable and then just try to feel better for the rest of their lives. That's how we play the game of life. The game of life isn't played from some, I come into the game neutral and somehow I can climb the peak and I don't have to pay a price for it. That's just bullshit. And all of the lives are tied to all of the lives, so there's no way to have the pleasure without having the pain. If you're going to play the game, then you open the door to the pain, because of the random nature of the birth defects and all of that kind of crap. So you can't play your way out of the accountability. Pleasure is expensive. That's why we as human beings invented silly, stupid things like slavery, is because pleasure is expensive. You know, if it was cheap and easy, if it grew on trees, we'd just pick it off the trees. We wouldn't enslave each other to get it. So, I mean, you know, that's the context here. And you want to, like I said, these numbers, again, I've argued, are just for reference. They're just to inform you if there is this dynamic here where, yeah, you can't hurt the dead. You can only hurt the living. And likewise for pleasing. And you just have no reason to create the living. There's nowhere in the math is there an urgency to do it. There's not some lost value by just leaving it alone. Because first you have to have a valuer for there to be value. You have to make something that needs it. And there isn't any urgency, there's no harm in not making them. And that's the key point. There's no negative in not making it. So that sort of closes the door to the reasonableness of messing with it. So anyway, there's so many analogies you can use, but I mean this idea of, you know, I was just thinking about, you know, all of our entertainments, and especially an entertainment like sports. I've talked about it before, but especially football. The fact is, we're going to paralyze a certain number of children every year for the entertainment sport of football. And you're just saying, would anybody really do that? Would they really, you know, potentially paralyze their child for entertainment? They could find something of great enough entertainment value that they would kill their children for it, or paralyze them for life for it? I mean, you know, as a simple statement, it sounds ludicrous. And it is just entertainment. It's just something people are addicted to. It's like inventing heroin. Would you really invent heroin? Yeah, it makes a couple of addicts happy, but look at the mess it makes. It would be silly to propose the invention of heroin if it didn't exist. And I think if football didn't exist, if I had to propose it now and say, look, I'm going to come up with a game. I'm going to, you know, have kids run into each other and beat the shit out of each other and paralyze each other. So when they grow up, we can pay some professionals to do it and also paralyze each other. But at least they have consent then, right? For money. and for silly entertainment. Rah rah. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't make any logical sense. I had more to add, but I'm not going to do it to this video, so I'll do it later. So, till next time.